Hi, I'm Nicole Marie Finch here, and this is my health and mindset blog. Thank you so much for tuning in. Today, I want to share something that really, as I start to go through this whole process of reading about mindset and personal growth and all that fun stuff, that really struck me, and I really had a hard time figuring out why is this. So, what I'm talking about is, why is our mind so restless? I mean, I talked previously about how we're confronted with so many different things these days that we haven't had to confront before as a race, as a human race. And, so there's certain reasons why having this personal growth and working on these types of things is so much more important now than, back in the day when we were just, hunter-gatherers, having to just worry about where our food was coming from. There's so many things that really impact our psyche these days that didn't impact us before. And so that's part of the reason why working on yourself and having that self-care and that mindset is really more important now than ever. But I still was starting to struggle with this. I'm like, I just don't get it. Why is it so difficult? Why can't I sleep at night? Because all these thoughts are racing through my head. Why am I constantly getting distracted? I'm trying to work on something, but I start stressing about something that happened days, if not years ago. Why do these things kind of pop up? Or I see, a certain car, for instance, and this whole memory rushes back to me. Or, why does that happen where you just kind of get tangled and caught up and it impacts your current day? And this is one of those videos where it's going to be a little bit more on the woo-woo side, so brace yourselves. A little bit less sciencey, but I'll make it up in next week's video where I've got a lot of sciencey stuff planned. But think about it. So have you ever gone from a super good mood to suddenly something happens and totally ruins your day? It just totally throws you off. Or have you ever had something where you just can't seem to shake it? You just have this thought that you just can't seem to stop obsessing over. You can't seem to forget about it. Even if it's something that as simple as someone cutting you off in traffic, now the rest of the day, you just can't be but that nerve of that person. You just can't get over that person's probably off mind. They're not even thinking about it. But sometimes we can get caught on one certain thing and it just can totally throw us off. Have you ever wondered why our mindset can be so fragile and volatile and so disrupted so easily like this? I know I have. And there's probably a lot of different theories out there, different ways of looking at it, all different kinds of impacts. Everyone has their own story, their own path, their own journey of all these things that could impact it. But one thing that I have that really struck me as an interesting theory that really seemed to make sense and provide some insight is what I'm going to share with you. And just to take a listen, see how it feels for you. And again, this is probably a little bit outside my comfort zone talking about this because I'm more on the sciencey side. But I think there is something to be said for this more woo-woo side of things when we kind of think about how does this all work. And so as we know, our minds can be very analytical. Our minds, they're the logical part of the brain, they're the part of us thinking through things. They're very analytical. And we use them to kind of break the world apart into individual thought objects. So something happens, you kind of have the separate little objects, and then our brain will put them back together in some kind of defined relationship to each other. So everything has some kind of relationship, So for instance, if you were dating someone and they broke up with you while you were sitting in their, red Fiat, I don't know. Then next time every time you see a red Fiat, you might think of that. Then nothing at all to do with, the heartbreak, but our mind is kind of connected to those two things. That makes sense. That's one example the best I could do. And so we do that to feel a semblance of control because it helps us to create a point of reference. So if our brain will cling to things in this infinite shifting world, it's often really, our brain wants to kind of create that point of reference. So for instance, if you're trying to balance on one foot, you're looking all around, it's really hard to balance on one foot. But if you're looking at one fixed point, it's more easy to balance. And our brain kind of works in a similar way, trying to get all the motion, everything that's happening around us to be a little bit more controlled and fixed in our mindset. And so to create this point of reference. And as we do that from birth to adulthood, that's kind of the birth of the psyche, if you will, creating this conceptual self of all of the beliefs and perceptions and things that we have, all kind of built around this nice little model. And so from this nice little model that we've built, we have it all figured out. We got all the relationships, so we know what should happen, what should not happen, and what will happen, if X happens. So, for instance, we say, okay, the bus better not come late today because I got to get there for my meeting. Or, no, you can't tell me bad news today. Today I have to be in a good mood. Or, it better not rain on my day off because I want to go hiking, for instance. So all those types of things, we've got it all figured out. We know how everything should work because we've got this reference that we've built up. We know how it's going to work now. We know how it's going to work in the future. And the universe and the world is all infinite, but our mind is finite, so it can't handle the infinite. So it's got this all into a nice box where everything's connected and working out. I'd love to know how that feels for you. So it helps us feel like we have a little more control when we can kind of have that reference point. So now we have this box based on this mental model, which has now basically become our reality. And so now our life challenge is to make the everyday fit into this little, I know I'm not making a box, okay, whatever. There we go, box. To fit into that mental model. And when things don't fit into that model, or when they challenge how we've built our model, we fight back. We see them as wrong, we see them as unfair, we see them as bad, and so we'll defend, we'll rationalize, or we'll just get plain old frustrated and stressed out or angry, even with the simplest of things. So you might even be sitting there thinking, that shirt does not work. She shouldn't be wearing that shirt, and it's messing you all up. You're not able to pay attention to anything I'm saying because it doesn't fit into your, let's see if I can do this. There we go, box. Okay, hopefully you like my shirt. But anyway, that's my box, see? Anyway, so our psyche is trying to do all this. And so our mind is pretty restless because we've given it this challenge. We've given it this interesting task of basically trying to keep everything into this box. So we've basically asked our mind to control that, we want everyone to like us. We don't want anyone to speak badly of us. I want everything to say and do to be acceptable and pleasing to everyone. I don't want anyone to hurt me. I don't want anything to happen that I don't like. I want everything to happen that I do like. And I want all these things to, occur. I don't care if you have to work day and night, mind. I want you to just make sure that this all fits nice and perfect here. I should just stop with the box thing. And so, of course, our mind is like, I'm on the job. I will work on it constantly. So day and night, our brain and our mind is working on making sure we can get things fixed. If you're ever going to bed at night and you just can't think, all these things are happening, you're stressing about work, stressing about life, this thing, the other thing, or maybe even something happened that you can't, it's the past, but you're still stressing about it because it didn't fit into your model. So our brain is like, it's on the job, boom, all right, I'm gonna do this, but I'm gonna work 100% of the time. And so that's why our mind can be so restless. You can't fall asleep sometimes, or you can't even, if you try to even sit in silence, your brain's going active, it's going crazy, or, through the day, you can't seem to shift something off, you're trying to get it off your chest, but you're trying to work on something else. It's just, right? It's crazy, and it can cause all sorts of stress, and stress will have to be a whole different video, but that's kind of basically what the task we've given to our mind to do. And so that's really why we can be so restless, and why we really need to spend more time to release our mind from that job. And one of the ways we can really do that is by kind of having that acceptance, working on managing our mindset, working on that more positive pathway, and try to help with the focus. If we're constantly plotting and planning of how to stay into that mental model, we're stressing about things all the time, and we're trying not to hit the edges of that model. We're constantly worrying, and sometimes you have to push through that, and it's not easy. It's easier said than done. But that's a lot of the stuff in the mindset series that I put together that really will help to do that, start to release our mindset from the restlessness. So if you haven't checked out that mindset and you want a little more detail on the mindset series, we'll give some of that detail as well. And like I said, it's one of my passion projects, so I'm really, really passionate about what I put together in that series. And I think a lot of the things I'll talk about here probably will tie to that, because I think a lot of the tactics will help us to find that inner peace and that fun in our lives, and help that brain to like let it off the hook. We don't even realize that we did this probably. You know, this happened slowly over time. So give your brain the grace and to let it just off the hook. I know it's easier said than done, but we do have the power to do that. We have the power to get ourselves in this situation, and we have the power to get ourselves out of the situation. And actually on next week's video, I am going to talk more about stress and about how this all kind of works in the stress way and how we can start to come out of that. And got some more sciencey facts and not as woo-woo as this week. I got to keep it balanced for my own sake, really. So I'd love to know how that feels for you. And if you relate to any of that, I'd love to share. Maybe you have other experiences that might help others who are struggling with this same thing. Or maybe you have a whole other theory that I'd love to know about too. So I hope this has been valuable for you. I thank you so much for tuning in. I look forward to sharing some nuggets about stress next week. And in the meantime, we know life is chaos, so we just have to have fun with it.